I'm Wally Vogel. I live in Mississauga with my wife Jane and my two children Alexa and Courtney. I'm 47 years old and a kidney cancer survivor. Through a sequence of treatments, I was able to achieve a full remission. I've been in remission for 2 years. When I was first diagnosed, the treatment prescribed was surgery, an immediate surgery to remove the kidney. At the 6-month follow-up is when they discovered that the disease had actually spread. And that is when I was told that the prognosis was fairly poor. The best alternative, I was told, was to get a second surgery just to try to get the disease under control, and then try a treatment called immunotherapy, which was a very intense treatment, required a week in intensive care in hospital, multiple IVs, many side effects. Unfortunately, though, although the side effects were very difficult on me and on my body, they didn't have the same effect on the cancer, which continued to grow and spread. I spoke with several doctors, very educated and experienced specialists in kidney cancer, and the answer that I got from each of them was the same, that I was basically out of options, that the disease was taking its course and I really only had a few months. They did say that I could enroll in clinical trials, but at that time it had probably been 20 years since a new drug had come out for kidney cancer, and there was not really much reason for hope. So I was told that it was best to put my affairs in order, that they would try to help me find a clinical trial, but that the prognosis at that point was very poor. I read a book called The Anatomy of Hope, and one of the pieces of advice from that book was to make all the preparations you need to accept the fact that cancer is a serious disease, that it could take your life, accept that as a reality, make your preparations based on the alternative that you may die, make all your preparations, and then once you've done that, set that thought aside completely and concentrate all your energy and all your efforts on surviving. I did look at clinical trials. I actually qualified for 2 clinical trials. One was here in Toronto, and the other required travel to Cleveland, to the Cleveland Clinic. We knew that going to Cleveland would be more difficult than participating in a local trial, and also that there would be costs involved. But again, we made the decision because we thought that clinical trial held out the best hope. I was also very encouraged by the clinical trial nurse that was there when I first enrolled in the trial. My thought was, this was July of 2004, and my thought was my hope and my goal was to survive until Christmas 2004. That was my initial goal. And I mentioned that to the nurse. I said, I know that this drug isn't going to cure anything, but if it can buy me a few months, I'll be happy. And she said, well, don't talk like that. She said, the reason we're doing the clinical trial is to see what the drug is capable of. She said, you don't know that it can't cure you. After I was on the trial, the first course of the drug, the first 6 weeks, we had a scan, and I was shocked and amazed to find out that we had dramatic shrinkage of the tumors, and that some of the tumors had actually disappeared after just 6 weeks on the drug. It was incredible for me because, having had so many scans before and always getting bad news, I had surgeries, I had immunotherapy, went through all these treatments that were so hard on my body, and yet the disease kept progressing and progressing. And then for 6 weeks, I just took a pill once a day, and all of a sudden the tumors were regressing. At that point, the side effects were starting to catch up with me. So at that point, we looked at other alternatives to remove the remaining disease, and it was determined that I was a candidate for surgery, that we could go back, whereas previously the tumors were inoperable because they were so widespread through my body. After surgery, we did another treatment called RFA, or radiofrequency ablation, because there was just one little tumor left in the muscle tissue of my back. And the doctor did a wonderful job, and after the radiofrequency ablation, we did a scan. That was June of 2006. We did a scan, and the results came back NED, or no evidence of disease, which means I was in remission. They couldn't see any evidence of disease anymore. And that was, I can't describe it other than that it was miraculous. There are a good percentage of people that survive the disease, that live for many years, and in cases like mine, that are actually able to eradicate the disease completely. So I think it's really important to understand the severity of the disease, but also to educate yourself, get the information that you can, seek out the best possible medical help, and then do everything that you can to be one of the people that survive the disease.